Okay, hello LAC 1 students. This is our week 3 session, and today we're going to go over our unit 2 tests. There are 2 different tests that we have to prepare for, part 1 and part 2. One of them is going to be multiple choice, and the other one is going to be handwritten responses that you have to submit. Okay? So I'm going to try my best to talk nice and loud so that the students who are joining me via Blackboard Collaborate can hear me. If we have any issues, I will do another recording. Right now, I'm working with the students who are here live in person. So please bear with me as I move along with the recording. Okay. So the agenda for today is to go over our essential question 3 and then the unit 2 test. For those students who are here today, you don't need to submit your notes. Okay, you will get credit just for attending. Just make sure you give me your remaining card at the end. Okay, so you can get credit for that. You should still take notes though, so that you can turn a copy into your homeroom teacher, and that way you're prepared for your LAC 1 test that are coming up. Okay. Okay, so that's our week 3 calendar, and as you can see, we're working on unit 2. Friday, tomorrow, you have both your tests due. Okay, so you always want to take a look here in yellow with the graded assignment, so you know exactly what you need to turn in. And then on Thursdays, that's when I have the notes that are due. Okay, so Thursdays, notes are due, and then Friday, we have our tests coming up. So make sure you check the calendar. Okay. So I'm going to give some of the students here, hold it tight. Okay, where are you with the book? Okay, I know right here kind of have a different responses probably on the back of your page. Right, A, B, C, or D, and then put it up so I can kind of get an idea. So show me where you're at with the book. A, B, C, D, or E. I know we have students in different places. Some started late. Some want to work ahead. So hopefully we are on target.
That includes the test or just the reading of the book?
Just the reading.
Reading.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the next one. Oh my goodness, some of you are way ahead of your reading. Okay, great job. Okay, so kind of gives me an idea where we're at. It looks like a lot of you are on target, working where you should be, maybe a couple of lessons, 1 or 2 lessons behind, but that's okay. You can get caught up. Okay, here's our essential question. And like I said, even though you're here, you don't need to send them in to me, but you should still be taking this. Okay? So how does Douglas portray his idea of slavery as humanizing in the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass? So you're going to get at least one specific example from the book. And if you turn in your first assignment, which was the 2.01 assignment, you did get feedback from me. One of the main things that was missing was textual support. So that means support quotes from the book. So that was one of the things we really need to work on this semester, because for LAC 2 it's going to get, or for English 10 it's going to get a lot more difficult. You're going to be asked to provide that support from the book or what you have used. Okay, so we're taking the time to write down our questions. Oh, and I know. It's not close enough? Is it close enough? Okay, just keep going back and forth. Trying to make this consistent. Okay, maybe I should get some pins. Yeah, I should get tape or something. Okay, so we're going to move on. And this is information for your unit test. Please make sure to write this down. So you have part 1 and part 2 due Friday. And where do I find this information? You can go right under Unit 2, Day 14. Okay, part 1 consists of 15 questions, 45 points. And part 2 is 3 questions, 40 points. And I'm going to break that part 2 down a little bit more, give you specifics of what I want. Okay, we're going to move on. And okay, so here are the unit test objectives. Where is it? Okay. You can find the test objectives in the study guide. Okay, if you go under Unit 2, Unit Resources, you click on that, you'll be able to find the objectives. Make sure you download and print that, and you want to also download and print the student guide before you take the exam so you can be prepared. Okay. Remember, once you take the test or the quiz, you cannot retake it again. And so it's very important for you to come to the session and get your questions answered, and then you can go ahead and take that test. Okay, here's our first question. And we talked about this in our last session. We talked about first-person point of view in the narrative that we're reading. So how does first-person point of view in narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass shape readers' experiences? We have A, chronicling the history of slavery. B, presenting facts rather than emotional reactions to slavery. Narrating both external and internal struggles of an enslaved man. and advising readers how to deal with slavery. So first of all, what is the first person point of view? We talked about this now. So,
when we read a story, the narrative comes from the narrative perspective. And I think we need to whenever which is I and me.
Exactly. Yes. So you're going to get that. You're going to get that personal story from the writer, okay, himself or herself in this case, from Frederick Douglass. So how is that going to help to portray his experiences? So what would you think would be the best response here? Okay, knowing first-person point of view, what that means, and how it's going to shape the experiences that we read. Put those two together, and how is this information going to be presented to us? Is it going to give us a history of slavery? Is it going to give us facts rather than emotional reactions? Is it going to narrate or tell a story about external and internal struggles? Or is it giving us advice on how to deal with slavery? What do you think would be the best response? Are we saying C?
Yeah.
C? What do you think? C? Okay. Yes, I agree with you guys on that one. Let's take a look. Of course, we're going to get somewhat of a history, right, that external story, and also the internal struggle, what that character, that person is going through, okay? And in this case, we're talking about slavery. So as you're writing down your notes, I would write down the question. You don't have to write every single thing down. The question and how you would respond to that question. Okay, I wouldn't write A, B, C, D, all of it. That's going to take too long. Okay. Let's move on to our next question here. Okay, so which of the following demonstrates Douglas's main idea that slavery is dehumanizing? First of all, we have to understand what dehumanizing is. So, what do you think that word means? What word do we see within that one? The word what? Human. Okay, so and now we're putting these together, dehumanizing. Okay. So human is a person. When you humanize someone, what are you taking away? Yeah, you're taking away their humanity. So that is what dehumanizing would mean. Good job. So first of all, we have to understand the question. Okay. So which of these options is going to show us that slavery is dehumanizing? It takes away that human spirit and creates people into animals, basically, treated worse than an animal. So let's take a look at our options. C, master was a cruel man, hardened by a long life of slave holding. Okay, I had known what it was to be kindly treated. The home plantation of Colin and Lloyd bore the appearance of country village. This week before our intended start, I wrote several protections, one for each of us. So which of these show that slavery can be dehumanizing? A. Some of you are thinking A. Okay, so this group, you agree A? What are you guys thinking here? A. Okay, so master was a cruel man, hardened by a long life of slave holding. So when he looked at a slave, he didn't look at a person, right? It was just another animal, another part of his property. So That is correct. Okay? So the master, the overseer, we're going to see as we're reading what type of men they turn into as they become slaveholders. And you can always use your notes for your test. So make sure that these are easy for you to read as you are taking your exams. And last time we were talking about this as well. But seeing as a test question is going to help you. Slave owners work to keep their slaves ignorant or uneducated in many ways. We talked about all of the different ways that this happens, but in here it's asking you to choose the one way that it did. So accept. So from your reading, okay, we can take a look at some of these choices. How were slave owners able to keep the slaves ignorant? What did they do? Okay, so if we're answering this question, we're saying 8, right? Okay. So they all got to eat or sleep. They were sometimes denied the food that they needed. They didn't get the quantity that their body needed for a day's worth of work. But what were some ways that they did keep them ignorant? Okay. So we have B, C, and D here, right? They didn't know their birthday. So when we first started reading the book, he kind of had an idea how old he was, right? But he didn't know his birthday. So imagine that. And then also keeping their parentage a secret. Okay, why do you think they would do that? They wouldn't go and find their parents. Okay, they wouldn't have that bond, that relationship. So what happened that first year? That first year that the child was born, what happened? What did you read about? That was kind of shocking. Mm-hmm.
His mother died and he didn't have any emotions to express it.
Yeah, when you read it, when you read the first couple of chapters and you read about the mother's death, the first chapter, you can see that there's no emotion. He's not really sad. There's no connection with his mother. And what happens to infants that first year that they're born?
It's taken away from him.
Mm-hmm. And who takes care of them? Yeah, so all the infants get taken away. They go somewhere else. There's no attachment, connection, relationship with the mother. Yeah, so these were ways to keep them ignorant. They wouldn't know really much about themselves. Okay? And then, of course, the forbidding the learning of reading and writing. That will keep them uneducated. So they did get to eat and sleep. Okay, so make sure that you have this in your notes. Okay, what is one of the major conflicts? Not everyone has finished reading the book. You will have to answer this question, though, so we're going to work together. What conflict does Douglas face as he decides whether to escape? Okay, so what's that struggle? A, he is heartbroken about leaving his fellow slaves. He's a moral man and does not want to break the law. The chances of earning more money in Baltimore is tempting. So what would we choose here? So what is the conflict? What is the problem that he faces knowing he's going to escape and leave? Do you think it's broken about these. What are you going to think over here?
Maybe
A about the color plate. Here.
there's no T.
No, I took it out. You noticed. Okay, so you're going to, as you get to those final chapters, okay, make sure that you reread that, and you're going to find out the relationship that he does build with the slaves. And it's difficult to lead them, but it's really every man for himself. Until he can get in a place with more power and authority to help others. Okay, so this is a description of Demby's death. Okay, it's in the first couple of chapters. So how would you describe this description? Okay, his mangled body sank out of sight, and blood and brains marked the water where he had stood. Okay, what does it make you think of? How would you describe it? What are some words? Yes.
Very graphic.
Graphic, gory. Okay, what's another? I'm sorry?
Horrific.
Okay, horrific. Yes. Okay, as you're reading this, you're like, this is kind of too much. Okay, too many descriptions that kind of make you have nightmares. So yeah, I agree with you guys. Okay, dread and horror, revulsion, it kind of makes you sick. Okay. So you're going to be asked to read some of the descriptions and then gather meaning from them, such as this one. Okay? So make sure you take notes on that. Okay?
Act like I'm not here.
Okay, we went over this one already. Let's see. That one was repeated. Okay. When does Douglas show emotion in his writing? We kind of touched upon this, where he doesn't show emotion at all. Okay? When he talks about his mother's death, he was talking about that. So does he show emotion there? Not really. There's no connection with his mother. B, describe the first years of his life, or explain his relationship with other slaves. When do you think he shows more emotion? Yes.
When he explains his relationship with other slaves, but even if his mom,
Yeah, he didn't really know his mom. He didn't know his family. He was moved from one overseer to another. So there was really no emotion that he showed in his writing. It was just the facts that were happening, that were going on in his struggle. Later on, as he develops those relationships, right, it is apparent that he shows more emotion. I don't, but you know what? I'll just give you some paper. You can continue to write. Let's see. Oh, here's paper. I'm trying to make more copies. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I want to go to that one. Okay, so make sure that you use the student guide. Okay, we know where to find that information, but I just want to show you once more. You go right under Unit 2. You'll see the unit resources. Okay, what happened here? Okay, and right under the literature and composition, you will click on materials, and that's where you're going to get your student guide. So make sure you print that student guide and you go through those questions before you take your test. You can only take it once. Okay, here is our part 2 test. Okay, we're going to have 3 questions. Okay, so questions 1 and 2, they're worth 10 points each. Okay, so make sure that you write this information down. I want to see 3 to 5 sentences per each response. Use correct grammar and punctuation. And you have to include support from the text to show me that you have been reading. Okay. So show me where you got your information. Support. I got some very good responses in our first assignment. There are a few 50 out of 50 points. And those were the students who gave me the support that I wanted to see from the reading. And some of the students even gave me page numbers where I could refer to. So as you are reading, you're supposed to be taking notes. Okay? With anything, make sure you're taking notes. And then question 3 should be a minimum of 5 sentences long. Again, I want you to use correct grammar and punctuation. And in the question, we're going to review it right now, and it's going to ask you to pick 2 main ideas from the book and show support. So I want to see at least 2 sources where you got your information from the book. Okay, so that can include, I want it to include quotations, okay, or facts, anything that comes directly from the book, and then you're going to support it with your own reasons. So we're going to do a little bit of that once we're done with this recording with the students who are here in person. So I'll give you some time. So the only thing that changes is number 3 on it a little bit longer. Okay? So that's going to be 40 points. 40 points total, and then your 85 points per unit too. And then we're going to move on to our next unit next week. Okay? So right now, just worry about finishing strong with this unit. Okay, so if you go to, again, I said unit 2, day, what was it, day 14 or day, where you can find it, day 14, I believe. That's where you're going to find your unit test. Okay, and then you can download it. I do want it as a Word document, as an attachment, okay, that you're going to submit. So here's the first question. Why is the climax of Douglas's story the incident with Covey and not the actual escape from slavery? So we need to get to that part of the book to understand that incident and how that is the climax of the story. And what is climax again?
The highest point of the story.
The highest.
Like a miracle.
Yes. Highest point of the story. Okay. The suspense. Okay. Turning point where everything is going to change and you're going to find out what's going to happen next. Okay, great. So first of all, of course, you need to know what the climax is. We went over that. And then you have to read the book to understand this incident and how that makes an impact on what's going to happen next. Okay, our next question kind of goes back to what we've been talking about, that first person point of view, narrative, okay? How does the genre of the narrative, a main character who tells his own true story, affect the reader? It's a very broad, general question, but I really want you to use a specific example where you can see his side of the story, okay, and how this genre, okay, affects the reader. So 1 and 2, again, 3 to 5 sentences. You have to have text support, okay, in your response. Okay, not just repeating the question again, okay? The first person affects the reader. Okay, got a couple of those and you need to submit them for a higher grade. You have to answer the question. Okay, so number 3, really this is the part where you need to write down. Which of the main ideas does Douglas use most effectively? Use textual evidence to support your answers. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your notes, okay, and you're going to explain 2 of these main ideas and trace the development throughout the text. Okay, main ideas of the story that can include a theme, containing motifs. Okay, you can talk about those. So you need to pick 2. That's why your response is going to be a little bit longer. Okay, so a couple questions for the first main idea, and a couple sentences for the first main idea, and then for the second one. Okay, how is it developed? So, right now we're going to think of some main ideas that we can talk about in our responses. I'll give you some again. Okay, so we're going to get one of these for each group. Let's kind of put it somewhere in the middle. Okay, let's brainstorm some main ideas from this book. So you can come up with some, even if you haven't finished the book. Of course, we should have started. Okay, so I have, take some of these. So right now in person, we're brainstorming some ideas. If you're listening to the recording, I would add ideas here to the chat, and then we'll come back together and provide those. So any key ideas or themes, okay? So we'll write them down. It doesn't have to be all beautiful. You just write your ideas down. Let me give you one to start off, okay? We're talking about slavery being dehumanizing. That's one of the ideas. That could be one of our ideas that we can develop, okay? Yeah? There we go. So this is going to help you to get started with that question and your response. And then, you pick 2 from today, and you work on that for your test, part 2. So I'm going to add a couple here.
So we're just going to pick 2?
No, just add to your board any ideas or themes that you came across as you were reading. Okay. So one of them, we can start adding it, is slavery being dehumanizing. That's one idea that was one of the main themes throughout. So think of different themes that you came across. Okay? You can talk about the institution of slavery. How was it presented? Wow, really? Okay, I'm adding